if you're looking to get into video production work or photography or filmmaking or pretty much any creative type job, you're likely going to have to make the decision between freelance and full-time work. And this can be a really tricky and difficult decision to make because there's pros and cons to each side. If you want to be a freelancer, you have the luxury of working on a variety of different things. Every week can be something new. And frankly, if you're good at what you do, freelance work, contract work can get you paid pretty well. If you're working every day, every week, frequently enough, you can make a good living doing that. On the flip side, you have the full-time work, which is probably not as well paid because it's a little bit more stable, it's a little bit more secure. And every industry is a little bit different, but we as creatives have the interesting predicament of figuring out like what we want to do. Most of the full-time work ends up being a little bit more, because it is stable, because it's secure, it can tend to be a little bit more boring, or feel like you're in a rut, or you're always doing the same kinds of work. But the problem with freelance work is that you're hustling every single week to find the job for the next week. And even if you have something that's maybe 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever it might be, once that's done, you got to find the next thing, and you got to find the next thing, and you got to find the next thing. And you're always pushing, always working to find the next great thing. And you might work on something really cool for 3 months, and then you might have 3 months of nothing, or 3 months of work that you don't really want to do. Whereas the full-time stuff, you can maybe find something that suits your needs. It's got a good schedule. It's going to pay you what you want to make, and you can just kind of coast and do that. So it's not to say that one's better than the other. Most people have their own kind of internal requirements of what they want to do, but it is something to be aware of if you want to get into the creative type industries, especially for somebody who's maybe in film school or looking at pursuing this as a career full time or for the rest of their life. There's a pretty hard divide there, and it's very, very rare that you would find something that's full time that's going to be as cool or as glamorous as some of the freelance contract work, because by its very nature, it's short. It's little bursts of really cool, really fun, awesome, exciting work. And then it could be another year of boredom. You never really know. And that's kind of the risk reward system that, is inherent to the industry. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at getting into these things, because the other option you can always do is do something totally different. Go into business, go into marketing, get a desk job somewhere, and you can do the creative fun stuff on the weekends or in your spare time, because you're likely going to have to do that anyway to do what you really want to do. So that's another option. And, there's a lot of people who can be really successful at that, at least for the start. I know a lot of people who get into filmmaking, especially whether they make a short film, or a short feature, documentary. A lot of the people who do that start with a business degree, and they start in business, and they just happen to do the filmmaking for fun on the side. And because they're good at it, because they have the smart business sense that they've been given in school or at their job, they're able to advance it and make it into something bigger and better. I've talked to a lot of producers who that is kind of their background, where they had no idea they were going to do anything video or film related, and it just ended up working out for them. So there are kind of 3 different areas you can find yourself in. And, it's not to say that the full-time work isn't fun or enjoyable, or it's not going to bring you fulfillment, but when you look in like kind of an apples to apples comparison, you might look at other people doing freelance stuff and like, oh man, they just made so much money just doing 1 day of filming. I wish I were doing that. But the thing you got to keep in mind is, yeah, they made a lot that 1 day, but the rest of the week they were looking for jobs, for other things to do. And maybe that's the life you want to live, because it does give you a lot of free time. It gives you a lot of flexibility. And so it works, but it's not quite as stable. So again, just keep it in mind. Everyone's got to make that decision at some point or another. And it's helpful if you kind of know that going in, and you kind of can mentally prepare yourself. Okay, what are your priorities? Do you want to focus on your family and stability for relationships, kids, family, friends, whatever it might be? Or do you want to go do the other thing where you're going to be hustling and grinding every day just to make ends meet? It's kind of up to you. And ultimately, the jobs that come across your plate and that you see online, that you find, that you apply for, you're going to have to figure it out. So best of luck, because it's fun, but it's a big decision, and you shouldn't take it lightly.